I didn't know that there would be so much overlap, but there really is. In social media, as in education these days, you really need to grab people's attention. You have about, according to my analytics, you have about 2 seconds on TikTok to grab someone's attention and get them to notice you. So it's about the same in the classroom nowadays, it seems like. And
Yep.
so you grab their attention and you have a clear set goal in mind. And then I think the number one thing that's the same is just repeat yourself over and over and over again. You think they have the concept, and then you get a question that you've just answered, and you just constantly need to be reinforcing your ideas and sticking to your goals and really focusing on your content. So I think there's a lot of overlap, more than I expected.
This is Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition, your essential resource for mastering the unique challenges of social media marketing in the hospitality industry authentically. I'm your host, Mike Alton, and each episode we dive deep into the real issues, from evolving guest expectations to standout social campaigns, sharing insights and strategies you can put to work. Let's get started with today's episode. Welcome back to Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition, where we're digging into the challenges, the successes, and the stories of social media community professionals in the industry, just like you. Subscribe to gain valuable insights that you'll be able to apply to your own work and social presence from each and every episode. Have you ever tried explaining something that has no direct comparison? Something so unique that every time you start describing it, you find yourself saying, well, it's kind of like, but nothing quite fits. In the hospitality industry, where guests often seek familiar experiences they can trust, marketing a completely unique concept can feel like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Today's guest knows these challenges intimately. Stacy Feinberg, social media manager at Clear Sky Resorts, brings a unique perspective to this challenge. As a former educator turned social media professional, she's taken on the task of marketing luxury glamping domes that combine the comfort of high-end accommodations with immersive outdoor experiences. Her background in education has become her secret weapon in helping audiences understand and embrace this innovative hospitality concept. Hey, Stacy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me.
So glad you could be here with us. I'm really excited to dig into this with you. But before we dive in, tell us about your journey from education to becoming the social media manager for Clear Sky Resorts.
Sure. I was invited to teach in a fifth grade during COVID, and I was teaching online and all of the things that came with that. And it was a new school to me and a new curriculum and a new format. And I had just really um, had enough of the whole process. And I was looking for something new to explore, a new opportunity. And lucky for me, my husband Hal was creating this wonderful resort, Clear Sky Resorts. And somehow through COVID, he got this built, and our first year open was 2021. So I sort of stepped up out of need. It sort of found me, but it turned out to be the perfect thing that I had been looking for, some way to express myself creatively and to really showcase and get out the word about this awesome new resort that we were opening during COVID. But it turned out it's the perfect destination because you can be in your dome. We have keyless entry, and we were able to we really wanted to bring that to the forefront, and with our budget, we knew the best way to do that would be social media. So I stepped forward kind of out of love for the project and looking for a new challenge, and it's just been go since then.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about Clear Sky for those listening or not familiar with it. Where you guys at? What makes you different? Really curious.
Sure. Clear Sky Resorts is a glamping dome experience. Our first location is located by the Grand Canyon. So we have a location in Arizona. That's our original concept. And it is more of a traditional canvas dome that you're used to seeing, but has wide open panoramic windows and skylights in every dome above your bed for stargazing. But at the same time, the usual experience you get with a glamping dome does not include air conditioning and heat, a private bathroom inside every dome, and a full service resort experience, which is what we offer. We have activities, we have family events, We have all kinds of things like that. And we just this year in August opened our second location in Utah near Bryce Canyon National Park. And that location is glass front domes. So they're like glass and wood. And so the front panoramic window is all glass, and you can just open up your curtains and lay on your bed and gaze out at the stars. And so there's a lot of glamping out there, and there's a lot of Airbnb domes, but we're really the first full service luxury glamping experience. We have a, well, we have different numbers at each place. We have 44 domes at Grand Canyon and about 60 domes at Bryce Canyon, but we have food at each property. We have stargazing tours. We have a full service front desk. We have customer service and hospitality and housekeeping and all the things you might expect. So it's like you took a four-star hotel room and plopped it down in the middle of the desert, which is something nobody else is really doing.
No, in fact, I'm sad that I'm only now learning about this because 4 months prior to us having this conversation, I drove my family from St. Louis to Southern California. And when we left St. Louis, we drove overnight through Denver so that we could be in Zion at
Oh,
dawn,
yeah.
very close to your new
Yes,
location.
very close,
And
about an
then,
hour and a half.
yeah, and then when we drove home after the Christmas holidays, we drove through the Grand Canyon, and we had spent the night before you get to the Grand Canyon so that we could get there at dawn that next morning. And because I've been to the Grand Canyon before, you don't want to drive down from there at night. That is not
Right.
fun.
No.
So next time, next trip, I will absolutely look you guys up. We will make a reservation with Clear Sky. But I'm wondering then, you're coming in from teaching 5th grade during COVID, brand new business, and it's a new concept. What were some of the initial first thoughts that you had from a social media strategy and content perspective for such a unique concept?
Oh, I had no idea coming in about what to expect. I just knew I had a lot of love for the project, and I was excited to let people know. And um, social media is a really very effective, cost effective way to educate people about your product. And so we really wanted to have strong social media presence. And we still have about a home office staff of about 3.5 people. So I just stepped into that role. I thought it might be just what I was looking for.
Love it. So, how do you think then your background in education has influenced your approach to social media content creation?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't know that there would be so much overlap, but there really is. In social media, as in education these days, you really need to grab people's attention. You have about, according to my analytics, you have about 2 seconds on TikTok to grab someone's attention and get them to notice you. So it's about the same in the classroom nowadays, it seems like. And
Yep.
so you grab their attention and you have a clear set goal in mind. And then you break down your concepts and present them to the audience in the way that you would like to present them. And then you take a step back and you say, did that work? Like you have to assess and interpret your data and then adjust your style to build your relationships in the classroom or online. You build your relationships. And then I think the number one thing that's the same is just repeat yourself over and over and over again. You think they have the concept, and then you get a question that you've just answered, and you just constantly need to be reinforcing your ideas and sticking to your goals and really focusing on your content. So I think there's a lot of overlap, more than I expected.
Yeah, there's some great advice there. I think we're not necessarily saying treat your audience like they're 5th graders, but maybe
Well,
kind of.
no, no, I'm not saying that. Although 5th graders are very smart and very savvy,
Yeah.
so it's not an insult.
No, it's not. My youngest daughter
Yeah.
will be a 5th grader next year. You mentioned TikTok. I'm just curious. So obviously you're active on TikTok. What other social channels are you focused on?
We are on every channel. I recently have been trying to learn Pinterest, which is
Mm,
of interest to me, but I,
yeah.
to be honest with you, have no idea how Pinterest works. But I love TikTok. TikTok has been great. We've been growing a lot there. We're also the most strongest on Instagram. Instagram is really our bread and butter. So but we do Facebook. Facebook ads have been very productive for us. So we're on Facebook. But really, Instagram and TikTok is where most of my attention is focused most of the time.
Yeah, I could see where the nature of your destinations would play
Yeah.
very well into Instagram and TikTok. With Pinterest, what you'll want to be thinking about, just some friendly advice to you,
Yes, please.
is that the people who are on Pinterest, they're planning their next trip or vacation or a hike, something on those lines. So you could think about pinning content that it would be helpful to them and it would bring your destinations to their awareness. And then they could, oh, okay, cool. I can stay at Clear Sky for this trip. And then they would pin that to their board that they're creating, probably a personal private board to help them plan their next trip to the Grand Canyon or Utah, something on those lines. So
Which would be
yeah.
great because we don't wanna get lost in the shuffle. We know there's a lot of great places to stay in very beautiful areas of the country. But we are fortunate, in my opinion, we have a very Instagrammable property. There's there's just no end to the natural beauty, and then our domes at Bryce Canyon are very beautiful. Our domes at Grand Canyon, some of them are theme domes. We have, like, an '80s game room dome. It's just adorable and makes me feel so happy, and we have a it's a Pac-Man decorated, and we have a game table that you can play, and so there's a lot of opportunity for people to post us, and so that works in our favor too.
Yeah. So as you're talking to those people, what role would you say then that audience feedback plays in your strategy and how are you finding and surfacing that feedback?
It's huge. Audience feedback is, like, huge because every single follower or potential follower to us is a potential guest, and so we want to, um, give people what they're expecting. We wanna make sure to set their expectations correctly, and so, um, if I'm getting a lot of questions about something, I need to provide clarity on that so that we can provide them with an authentic representation of what to expect when they come to Clear Sky Resorts. Which sometimes people come and they say, "This looks nothing like I was expecting," and that could go either way. So we wanna be careful, and we wanna really, just set people's expectations, and so their feedback is, like, really how I operate. I comments, I get DMs, I really take everything to heart so we can move forward authentically and provide clarity for them on their frequently asked questions.
That is a terrific philosophy and mindset to social media. Always be listening. Folks, we're talking with Stacy Feinberg about challenges that come with establishing what is essentially a new category for your brand and the opportunities that come alongside it. In a moment, we're going to dive into some specific strategies and tactics. But first, let's make sure that you're not wasting valuable time.
When I take a look at the biggest core benefit for Agora Pulse, I have to look at two sides of the equation. I have to look at what it does for us as far as managing our community and all of the conversation management tools, which I appreciate so much. But from a far more pragmatic point of view, it saves us money. It saves us a lot of money because of the productivity features that are built in with how it manages those conversations. We don't waste time. We're efficient.
Agora Pulse allows me to get through all my messages and my replies really quickly. That's probably the number one reason for me wanting to use the tool. It saves so much time.
A big draw for me with Agorapulse was the ability to manage my YouTube comments. That is a huge feature for me, and here's why. Because up until then, I basically would have to go into my social media manager system to do everything there, and then I'd have to log out, go back into YouTube, and do the same thing there. Now, when you are managing multiple clients, this becomes a huge waste of time, right? And what we want to do is streamline that efficiency. So we can log into one website now. We can manage all of our major social profiles there, and we're able to serve our clients with more clarity and purpose.
They worked with us, they helped train us on how to get everything up and going, and we were able to cancel out all the other tools that, we didn't need anymore. So it saved us a lot of time and a lot of headache for my team members as they're, now they only have one tool that they can maximize their clients in.
So, Stacy, in my mind, it feels like you're essentially marketing a completely unique experience. And I'm wondering how you balance the need to obviously educate people on what that experience is, also try to create content that's really engaging and visual and beautiful, like we talked about a moment ago, not too lecture like. How are you balancing those?
Well, again, I have about 2 seconds to get anybody's attention, so lecturing's not really an option. I really just need to, um I really like, back to the teaching, I kind of need to meet people where they are and assess their prior knowledge, like, we call it KWL. What do they know? What do they want to know? And then what have they learned? So, it's my job to put that all together, and, one of the things I love to do is I love to use Instagram Stories for this because you can put anything in a story. You can do polls, you can do a would you rather, you can do an ask me anything, and, Ask Me Anything is one of my favorites. Besides being really super engaging, it also just really gives you a great picture of what people wanna know, and so then you can take that and you can create from their knowledge gaps. You can answer it in the story, but then you can also create a reel or a TikTok or what have you about the topic that they're asking about, and so then you also can take that and run with it because not everybody learns the same way. And some people have to hear things a lot of times before they get it. So you have the ability to create that in a lot of different ways and a lot of different styles. Change the hashtag, change the font, and you can really just get your content a lot of traction that way. Again, like you said, listening to your audience.
I love the AMA tip. That's huge. Folks really kind of let that sink in because they're talking about Marcus Sheridan's approach, which is the classic approach to content marketing. They ask, you answer. It's fundamental. It's something that a lot of us as marketers we lose sight of. We kind of get enamored with campaigns and the shiny objects and new platforms like Blue Sky and so on. But at the core, we need to be asking our audience to tell us what they want to know about, and so then we can answer those questions. Because it's great content for the individual that asked it, but there's 100 people, 10,000 people that also have the exact same question, and you'll help them whether it's when you answer it tomorrow or if it's in a long form piece of content like a video they might stumble on that months from now, or they might find it on Pinterest and somebody else
Yeah.
is bored. Like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to know. So I love that tip. Are there any strategies that you found have been particularly helpful for helping potential guests understand what makes your resort so different?
Well, it's all kind of the same answer because short form videos are great, and like you said, like, my TikTok sort of just especially on TikTok, they just resurface, and when someone's looking at you and researching your property, then those come out to the surface, and I just repetition and our frequently asked questions are frequently asked. So there's some content that I just seem to focus on more than others. And a lot of times we'll get something like someone will think that it's an Airbnb. And so they won't be understanding the exact concept that when you come here, we're going to provide you live music and stargazing tours and horseback rides. And, some people might not want that might not be what they want, but again, setting expectations. When you come here, we're not just offering you this bare bones Airbnb or this bare bones glamping. There is air conditioning in the domes, and there are these opportunities and experiences that we're providing that no one else is providing in the industry. It's like you said, there's things that sort of remind you of it, but are not exactly it. So that's what we do.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. One of the early interviews we had was with a hotel chain on the East Coast and mostly around Philadelphia, where you kind of could say they were kind of like an Airbnb, but not really, because they had individual properties without like a normal hotel front desk kind of a scenario,
Right.
but it's also fully managed and concierge and the whole thing. So it's kind of not, so it's hard. It's hard to communicate those. And your point is 100% valid. That's where the repetition comes into play. I'm wondering then, as you're using, TikTok and Instagram and so on, how are you measuring success? Are you using tools? Are there specific metrics you're looking for? How do you know what's working and if you're really achieving results?
Well, it's been really interesting that, we're using all the regular ways, data from our website and Google, and when people call the resort, excuse me, when people call the resort to make a reservation, we ask them, "How did you hear about Clear Sky Resorts, and what made you interested in us?" And so we have a lot of anecdotal evidence, but the thing that's been really interesting to me is that sometimes I'll have a video hit on Instagram and it's immediate. The spike in bookings is absolutely just real-time data coming at me. A video got 1 million views and we got 100 bookings. It's just really been crazy to see. But we do track data from our website and all the traditional ways that we look. And I try to see what is working for me on Instagram, and they have great analytics there. And our Meta analytics, we use that a lot. So we just gather as much data as we possibly can. And it's been a lot of trial and error. And but we've had a lot of success, so it's been very interesting to see.
Well, it's a challenge because unlike retail, you're not necessarily sharing links with link posts. You don't necessarily have a shop where you
Right.
have that kind of direct
Yeah.
one-to-one data. We know that this person clicked on this post and signed up. So it's very much a let's make a dotted line and hope we see some results stemming from those viral videos. So that's awesome.
And we
Last
can do
question,
that. Oh,
Stacy. Oh,
sorry. No, I was
go ahead.
just gonna say we can do that on our ads. Facebook makes that very easy to see. It links
Mm.
right to our cloud beds, and you can book, and we can see what ads are working. But you're right, as far as regular posts, it's a little trickier. I can see who clicks on my link tree and who goes where, but to connect the dots is a little bit harder.
Yeah, definitely a challenge. Are there any resources or communities? Because I just want to know as we wrap up that you turn to for inspiration or maybe staying current with social media trends.
Well, I am on Instagram all day long and TikTok, um, looking for inspiration and seeing what are the trends and checking creators. And I'm really like enamored with the business suite on TikTok right now. It's very useful. You can niche down so far. You can niche down. So I'll go on and travel. Um, I'll go to the travel section and it will show me a list of industry leaders and what they're doing on their accounts. And then it will show me the hashtags that are performing, and it will show me the music that's performing. And those videos have been doing really well for us on TikTok. So that's kind of my latest obsession. And I'm really learning how to work with that. But a tool that we use that isn't necessarily a tool maybe, but we collaborate a lot with influencers. So our property is really Instagrammable, and we love to do a lot of work with local influencers because they really know their target audience and what they want to see. And so they come and they stay and they take some beautiful, beautiful videos, and then they get the word out. And so it's really been great collaborating with a lot of influencers too. That's been a great resource for us, and user generated content as well. So we've been sort of leaning on our community in that respect, and I've been learning a lot from those people too.
That is terrific advice. If you aren't already, I'd encourage you to follow Jen Herman. She's the world's foremost blogger and author on Instagram. So she's always sharing a breakdown of the latest developments in Instagram. I just saw a post from her this morning. We're recording this on April 10th, talking about gated reels, a new feature that's coming to Instagram. Super interesting. So that's cool. I love your recommendations on working with local influencers. I couldn't reiterate that enough. Stacy, you've been absolutely amazing. For folks who want to learn more about you or Clear Sky Resorts, where should they go?
Follow us at Clear Sky Resorts on every platform: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest. We have a YouTube channel, and visit our website at clearskyresorts.com and come stay.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, all of you, for listening. We will, of course, have all of Stacy's and Clear Sky's links down in the show notes below. That's all the time we've got for today, friends. But don't forget to find the Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition on Apple and drop me a review. I'd love to know what you think. Thanks for tuning in to the Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition, hosted by Mike Alton and powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution. Discover more at agorapulse.com. Enjoyed the episode? Please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Your feedback drives our content.